Now yesterday in the afternoon, I was just working on my June books, my expenses and revenue, and this truck shows up. And I look at it and something is very familiar, this Western Star setback axle with heavy front axle, big tires. And I went around it and it has it looks like it has a tri-dam drive, fixed 3 axles, not just a lift axle. And this guy is pulling an XL, I think it's like even extendable trailer, and it has 3 axles in the back and 1 flip, so it's a really serious setup. And the guy gets out and he has a small kid with him, and he kind of looks familiar, And I remember seeing this movie on Western Star Truck's website a lot of times, because this is the truck I wanted to get, when I was speccing Western Star. And check this out.
I live in Claremore, Oklahoma, just east of Tulsa. I always knew driving I was going to own. This is the nicest way to go. Absolutely, without a doubt. It's got the biggest refrigerator. I've actually gone back to eating more salads now. Between the width of the cab, the leg room, the sleeper amenities, the ability to stand straight up, the turnability, the way it carries the weight. I mean, when the truck's actually loaded, the way it's throwing the weight back and forward, there's just nothing nicer. This thing is built to be maintenance free and last. It's just that enough. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, you've got to know that you've got a truck that's got your ass covered. Of course, this new DD15 engine, I've got 50,000 miles in this truck. I hit it yesterday. I couldn't be more impressed. This is a totally different engine than anything I've ever owned. It's totally different with the bull gears in the back, the turbo compounding, which is, actually has a turbine in the back of the turbo, harnessing the heat of this engine. If you want that new technology, and I am real impressed with that. It's so quiet, and it's so powerful, and
and I remembered about that. Each Western Star, they put the name of the buyer on that little plate on the side of the cab. And I just went to the truck stop, and I was coming back, and I decided to look at the side of the truck for the name. And guess what? It says Christopher Miller. Christopher Miller. And it's the same guy that you just saw in the video. And I wanted to talk to him, actually, ask him what he thinks now about the truck, because evidently this is, I don't remember the date when that movie was made, but it's probably about a couple of years old now. So I wanted to ask him, but he didn't look, too happy that he was tired from driving too much. I don't know, but I don't want to bother people, right? But that's an interesting encounter, This is what happens when you watch too many videos of Western Star trucks, and then actually you see the same truck and the same person that talks about them on the computer, on the internet. You see them in person.
Well, I left the truck stop in Glendale, Kentucky, with some difficulty. More about that later. And now I'm driving on I-65 south towards the Tennessee border. And today is Sunday, June 30th. Chinese in here, not a regular restaurant. Okay, let's find some parking here.
And remember I said I started with difficulty at in that Glendale, Kentucky place? You wouldn't believe it. Basically, I turned the key, I left like a good boy till all the gauges, you know, do a full sweep, and I go to ignition and it click. What? It was still early in the morning. I thought maybe I was dreaming. I turned it back off and then turn it on again, and let's just try now. Okay, one sweep, two. For some reason it doesn't want to start from the first attempt now. Okay, without waiting. Sorry, my cam fell down. And I find for some reason, Jesus, everything vibrates here. I find for some reason sometimes it starts easier when I don't actually wait for the full, you know, sweep of sensors. So I probably have a bad sensor somewhere. Because that thing especially gives me trouble sometime in winter when it's cold. I think there's a sensor that measures the outside temperature, you know, and pre-mixes the fuel. Because of course when you start, it's a rich mixture, right? Because everything is cold. But anyway, so I did this, and when it gave me that click again in Glendale, my first conscious thought was, that's it, I'm buying a new truck. You know, it can be very frustrating when you don't make, you know, too much money. You're like, this month was pretty bad, you know. And then the truck keeps asking you fix one big thing, you know, $1,000, and the truck keeps asking for more, you know. So I'm not in a good mood. But then I'm driving down the road, I-65, and I'm thinking, okay, calm down. And okay, the batteries are new, the alternator is new, the starter now is new. The only thing that's can be part of this equation is the ignition. Right, so the ignition does give me sometimes trouble. Let me show you something. Sorry, I'm gonna turn my. You see how now the key is in the on position, right? But not the starting position, right? But in the on position, right? So this, so my there's power to the dashboard. See my radio and my boost gauge are on. Let's see what happens. I know I can twiggle the key a little bit, and I can take it out, and look what happens. There's still power to the dashboard. That's not normal, right? That means that there's too much free play, at least in this position when the key is you know, straight. So then what I do, I just touch this and I twiggle it a little bit and see what happens. Like, I'm gonna touch it with my thumb and look at the lights. See, I just touched it, I flipped it, so it's definitely, oh, and that's that sound. So it's definitely there's some free play in there. See, so it can be the ignition, and that's probably not a very cheap part to replace either. But now it's definitely not the solenoid, you know, that's for sure. Maybe it was part of the problem, because before it was really bad, right? So now it just gave me like one click, so maybe I just dreamt it, I don't know, but it felt real. So the only thing that's left is the ground points on the chassis and near the starter, right, and the cables. And I suspect from the way, you know, they treat customers, I think that cat dealer, Toromont, it's called Toromont, T-O-R-O-M-O-N-T, Toromont in Kitchener. They are the exclusive dealer of cat in Ontario, Canada. Like, there's no one else there. There's only, if you want to go to a cat, it's always a Toromont. And those guys became real, you know, just like any other shop before they were okay, but now they're so busy, you know, that they don't care. Because there's always someone else, right? Hey, we cannot fix your problem. Here's a bill for 1 hour of labor. Let's say they were doing some diagnostics. Like, 120 bucks. We don't care if there's any results. Just next. Because there'll be another guy, right, with a purse. But anyway, I'm just thinking that I suspect that since they seem so indifferent to people's trucks and their problems, is that they just swapped the starter and they didn't do anything about the cables. So the cables that are there, like the starter was installed in 2007, but this is a 2004 truck. It was built in December 2003. So imagine what the cables over there look like. So it's basically 10 years, those cables are 10 years old. Well, they will be 10 years in December, so 9.5. And I don't think anyone ever cleaned them. So that's what I'm thinking. It's either the cables near the starter, or it's like one guy suggested on my previous video. He said, check your ground points on the chassis. But something is off. Maybe I do need a new truck. You know, here's one I like. Call me crazy, but I like. I think that's a Pete, right, with a tanker. But I like these flat roof trucks. You know, they look cool, and of course they're lighter. And if you get a short sleeper, there's room in there behind the sleeper and the fifth wheel, which can come in handy. And there's my truck. See? It's International, Volvo, big Volvo, and ProStar. I like ProStar. But the biggest engine you can get with them is the 550 horse Cummins 1850 torque. Oh, here's another one. Yeah, but one thing I find is that with the long wheelbase, you know, I find that I can make good money. For example, now I'm picking up pipe, and it's I think it's 60 feet long or 65. I think it's 60. Yeah, 60 feet long pipe. And you know, my truck is 235, like has a 235-inch wheelbase, right? So even if I move my fifth wheel all the way to the back, there's not that much space, and plus I have a 72-inch sleeper, so I can only probably have those pipes moved maybe 3 feet if I'm lucky. Otherwise I'll start touching the cab, right? But if I had let's say 56-inch sleeper like that ProStar, you can get it with a 56-inch sleeper and no fairings, nothing, and you know, basically kind of like looks like that red one over there with a flatbed. And then if you have, so that's 56, right? That's, what is it, 16 inches already shorter. So there's more space, 16 inches or more space between the truck and the trailer. And then I can get the maximum legal for Canada wheelbase, 244. Now I have 235. That's another 9 inches. So see, with a truck like that, 244 inch wheelbase with a short sleeper, you have more than 2 feet of extra space, you know, and that can sometimes come in handy when you haul you know, long loads, and those pay pretty good actually. They're not necessarily too heavy, but if you can move them, you know, further to the front, you can make good money. Like this load pays pretty good. I'm still thinking, how am I going to manage that that size, you know, because I have a fixed tandem in the back, right? And they said the weight is going to be 48,000, so I don't know, maybe I'll have to get a permit for the rear tandem. I don't know if they can give me one, but I'm afraid they might be over on the trailer axles. The gross weight will be okay, but the trailer can be overloaded in the back because the pipes, you know, they're so heavy, they're gonna be sticking out. Anyway, time to get some brunch. Now, one more thing before I go, guys. I decided to show you my new starter. I didn't even know it was sitting there, you know, because it was all covered in mud. But now at least I know where it is. And check out how many cables are there. It's amazing, you know. You would think you only need 2 cables, but check out, like, this is this huge cable, and it has a nick on it. You can see that. See this? Right? And this one goes in there at the bottom, and I think it goes back to the battery. Right, then this one, they all connected to the same bolt in there. See? Now the bolt looks okay, it looks kind of fresh. I think they cleaned that one up. But then this one goes in here. So maybe I just have a bad connector somewhere there. But also I see that that's probably the ground over there, right? Oh, just below that over there. And that might be real dirty. I'm pretty sure that's the ground because that cable, yeah, you see this one, this cable over there, and it goes to that bolt. And that's probably all corroded because that's almost 10 years old. Huh. Lots of cables. And this one has no insulation on it at the bottom. Yeah, so it's real easy. Any like poor contact somewhere there, maybe between in that switch, and that's it. Then you're screwed, you know. And like, yeah, but I definitely need to check this out. Now, what about this one here? Oh, there's another little cable. Jesus, there's so many cables. It's a really complicated piece of machinery. Well, that's it. I'm done looking. All my clamps are okay. Now the other big repair that might be coming is this thing. That one I know. That's my air compressor. And this is still the original factory one. I think I only once replaced this thing. It was had a hole in it. Or maybe this one. I remember I replaced some of them, like just when shortly after I bought the truck. Now, so this might go maybe in the next year or so. But also there's a damper. What the heck is it? Vibration damper? No, it cannot be here because it's supposed to be on the crankshaft. I think it's that thing over there. Yeah, even, you know, that guy from Pittsburgh Power, he says they're only good for 500,000 miles because they have silicone in them. They have liquid silicone, and there's a weight. The weight that moves in that silicone to kind of counterweight the vibration. And they say after 500,000 miles that silicone, you know, gets solid, turns into a solid, so the weight inside cannot move anymore, and that creates too much vibration. and that can affect the bearings on the front of the engine, and even the actual, you know, the crankshaft and all those shafts in there that bring the motion to the wheels. That's probably another $1,000 bucks. So, all right. Enough of this about the sad thing. Let's go get something to eat. Well, at least my load is still there. Nothing fell off, including that piece on the top, that mast. So my delivery is tomorrow.